I do believe that if you want to aim to making a 200 million a day or a month or whatever have you, you can get there. It's just you need to start somewhere. Welcome, welcome. It's Gull Khan here, your money mindset expert. And today I have the honor and the pleasure of speaking to John Wood, someone who's had a phenomenal journey, someone who's actually based in Canada, the other side of the pond, so to speak, to me, but who is absolutely inspirational. And I'm super excited to be speaking to him. So welcome, John. How are you doing today?
I'm doing fabulous. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be on your show today.
I'm super excited to have you, John. So John, tell everybody, for those who are not familiar with you, who are you and what do you do?
Definitely. So I am a founder, owner of an agency, a digital agency called Local SEO Search. I started that 7 years ago. I'm a proud father of a 5-year-old son, and I also mentor, and I try to make more of an impact to the local business owners in a local landscape. So before I started this agency, actually, I'll just give you a little backstory. I studied business finance in college, university, and afterwards, I didn't really know what I wanted to do. So I got my first job in Toronto, Canada, the capital. But I was at a point where I wanted to either travel or start my own career, right? Which is start paying down my student loan. So for me, my brother told me I should start paying down my loan instead of like enjoying life a little bit while I was younger. So I did start my career, and that's how I got hooked on to sales. That's what was my first foray of in terms of the business world, where I was in advertising sales, but more traditional roles. So I worked in print advertising, digital advertising, affiliate online marketing. And my longest stint before I started my agency was I worked at Yellow Pages. And if people know about Yellow Pages, it's the printed directory of...
Yes, I remember Yellow Pages. We had that a while ago. We had it in UK too.
So I was there for 5 years, and during that time, I met with thousands of local business owners, from the local plumbers to dentists to lawyers, you name it. Yeah. But what really resonated with me was them making a local impact. They really actually cared about serving their own community, their people, their base, right? And it wasn't really the monetary aspect, but really personalizing it and really caring, right? And what I found out near the end of my tenure there was a gap and there was a need where Yellow Pages was not performing as they once did. It used to be the go-to place for business owners to advertise, where they would get a really solid ROI, return on investment. But during the last couple of years, every meeting that I went to see business owners, they were frustrated. They were disappointed with the results. They were spending more than ever and just wanted to find out where the customers, because they knew people were looking, they just don't know where they were consuming information to search for them. And as you know, that's when Google started to ramp up and take off. And basically that's where I pivoted, right? I could have worked at another digital agency in sales. That was my strength. So I've been doing sales at that time for about 10 plus years. Right. And I was at a point where I could continue working for a corporate, another company. I was doing fairly well. But I also had to figure out like what I wanted to do. I basically just recently got married. I moved to a new city with my wife, and I recently bought a home. Right.
So a lot of financial responsibility.
A lot of things happening, but I had full support from my wife, right? Where she basically said, you either do it now or you continue working, but you don't know if that will be something you really enjoy doing, right? She knew I was very interested in the sales realm of things, and I was always doing some side hustles here and there. So she knew that I had some entrepreneurial spirit in myself. So she basically said, go ahead, figure it out, make some mistakes and learn. And
Right.
that's what I did, right?
By the sounds of it. So yeah, you do feel that the old saying that behind every successful man is a great woman. So that's a good true saying for you.
Yeah, I was very fortunate to have full support, right? And I think that's number one thing, because if people don't believe in you or trust you that you're making the right decision, it's a lot of stress and a lot of burden on yourself. You put a lot more on yourself than other people putting it on you, right?
Yeah.
So yes, I had a lot of burden in terms of like mortgage payment. I had responsibility to eventually take care of my wife or whatnot, right? But at that time, my wife was taking care of me because I didn't have a stable income, right? Leaving a stable income to start your own gig. At that point, I didn't even know anything about SEO as well. Just so you know, my point was I knew there was a shift and a need, but I had no technical experience. I was sales and marketing. So I had a lot of front-facing relationships that were built, and there was a gap in the marketplace, and I filled it. So I had to go out there, sell, prove myself, make sure that I know what I'm doing, learn about all the whole back-end experience of the operational end of things, and deliver on my promises as a salesperson. Now it's more about, it's a brand. My name's on the line, right?
Yeah.
So early days, I wasn't paying myself. I was spending a lot on learning, getting a lot of people to do a lot of the work.
What year would this be? What year?
Back in 2013.
Okay, so it's 2013. Okay.
Yeah, so 7 years ago. And I didn't know what I do know now, of course. And I was, not even sure how to run a business. As much as I was helping business owners with their advertising, I didn't know there were so many other aspects involved in running a business, from, outside of sales and marketing. It's now fulfillment, customer service. It's about delivering on all your promises, right? Like working at Yellow Pages, there were departments full of graphic team, development team, marketing team, support team, accounting team, you name, operation team. I was just a part of sales and marketing. So starting your business, I had no idea how much.
All the different hats. Yeah, I know. I'm familiar with that one.
And then I was spending so much time, like I was devoting 16, 18 hours into this business, early days, right? Because I had to understand every realm of it, from, not just the customer standpoint, but actually delivering on what I was saying I was going to do, right? So learning all back end, as well as learning how to run a business. My strengths was always sales and marketing. So I went out and got sales. I got checks. I got people paying me for a service. Now I had to deliver on it. So I think that's where I had an advantage, because I'm very comfortable with sales and marketing, and I'm a big believer in my own skill set and whatever product and service, or else I wouldn't even go out and sell it in the first place, right? Yeah. So that's where I pivoted, and I moved away from working a 9-to-5. I would say, corporate, to now starting my own agency.
Oh, wow. So that has been a great journey, and quite a journey in itself, starting off on a new business where you have literally no knowledge of, and you're starting from scratch, because there's a need. You can see that there's a need for it, people need that service from you, but you don't even know how to provide it yourself. You have to learning on the job, so to speak. So that's amazing. Now, I know that sounds great, and you've said it in literally 2 minutes or 5 minutes, your entire journey, but can you just walk us through what was going through your mind at the time when your wife was having to support you financially, and you were trying to build a business which you yourself admitted that you didn't know that all the different departments that you had to deal with? Initially just doing sales and marketing, but now you had to deal with management, the admin, the accounts, and the cash flow and other things. I mean, there's so many different aspects to running a successful business. What was going through your mind? How did you keep yourself stable? How did you come out the other end and be successful and have a very successful business now, while you were dealing with, 1, learning a new skill, 2, building a business, and 3, as a man, allowing your partner to support you financially? Talk us through how do you set your mind for that?
Yeah, it was definitely challenging times, because I was putting a lot of stress on my own, myself, right? Because I felt there was a huge amount of responsibility and dedication to not just be successful and be the breadwinner, but eventually support and I didn't even pay myself first couple of years actually.
Yeah.
But the one thing that was a saving grace was the full support from my wife, right? My partner, it might not be your wife, even you doing your journey, but someone that really believes in you, that believes that you're doing the right thing, making the right moves. Yes, you are the owner, but you have to always ask yourself, doubt yourself, question yourself, right? But with someone that has support, no matter what happens in the end, that's what really, makes you evolve and be a better person, right? So yes, I put a lot of burden and stress on myself, but eventually I came to realize my true strengths, right? And that's when I was really able to de-stress and uncover my gaps, right? Where I needed to fill different roles and leadership roles and people in different places of the company, because I was putting on every role when you're starting off, right? Because you don't know what you don't know, right?
Exactly.
So you think you can do everything.
Yeah, you don't know what you don't know. And sometimes you don't have the skill set for it, but you don't really know that either at the beginning, do you? So it's learning on the job, so to speak. So John, what would you say was your biggest obstacle? What was something that you really struggled with when you were initially setting up your business? And then how did you overcome that?
So struggles was, I think, I bootstrapped everything. I didn't have any financial support. I basically started the business with not even a laptop, my cell phone. I went out there and proved that I can get people sold with a cell phone and an idea and concept, right?
Wow.
But what I really believe was, I think the biggest barrier for me was letting go, right? Letting go of different aspects of the business and letting people that you put in different parts of the company to have more of a leadership role, right? Because I thought I could do everything, right? Being the owner, you're like, you want to be in full control, but the key is understanding your gaps, your weaknesses, your strengths, and letting people that love what they do, be passionate and do it really well, and stuff that you don't really like doing, let them do it, because your time is way more valuable doing what you love, and probably can charge a lot more money because you can earn more versus doing things that you hate doing. It stresses you out. It is a time consuming task. And once you're able to uncover where your gaps are, what your needs are, and find good people that has your true core values, that's where I'm now able to structure my day based on how I would like to see it, right? Where I want to spend as much time being present with my son, and I turn off my devices right at 4 o'clock when my son gets home, and I don't pick up my phone afterwards, right? Like that's where you are doing something that really matters, because being present is really critical.
Absolutely. And I love that. And being a parent, I completely understand that. I think this was something that we could all learn more. Unfortunately, with the pandemic that's happening, we're recording this interview when we're coming to the other end of the pandemic, where everything's beginning to open up here in UK and worldwide too, but we still have the idea of, or the threat of the second wave looming over our heads. But anyhow, and we've been in kids have been home for the last 6 months, as we were discussing just before we pressed record. I think it's very difficult to manage your work with children, being parents, and try to be present. So that my normal idea would be I stop working at 4 when my kids come home, and then evening after they go to bed, I'll pick up my my stuff again from 8 o'clock to 10 to 2 hours in the evening. But since they've been home, the work has been all around them. So an hour here, 2 hours there, 3 hours there. So they've had to adapt, and I had to adapt, and it's just what how you go. But I love this idea of yours that when your son comes home at 4, the phone goes away and it's daddy time and baby time. And that's so important, because being present in a child's life is super important. As a parent, I fully understand that. So tell us, John, what would your advice be to someone who's listening in and saying, well, John, that sounds really good, but maybe you got lucky And I want to reiterate this, that when you started off, you knew that there was a need in the market, but you didn't know how to fulfill it. You didn't know what to do about it. You didn't know anything about SEO. You just knew that you had to work at providing businesses an opportunity to be searched. Like Yellow Pages wasn't working anymore. A new medium had come forward, which is Google search, which everyone uses now. And you had to put the two together. What advice would you give to someone like this who can actually see there's a gap in the market and there's a need for it and they can fulfill it, but they just don't know how or don't have the confidence to get going? What advice would you give to that person?
There's always opportunities, right? And my suggestion is go out and do something about it, right? Instead of doubting yourself or questioning if it's going to be successful or not, or coming up with this huge, executive summary and a business plan. Go out there and see if people are willing to pay for your service, right? To see if it's even feasible as a business. And if there is traction, then you'll invest more time. But a lot of people either go wrong with investing too much money in the initial bricks and mortar or initial startup phase without even understanding if there's a need or market. Like they think this is a great idea without even knowing if people are willing to pay for it, or they are very hesitant to do the sales aspect, right? They're very afraid of taking action, I would say, right? That's the one thing I would tell everyone. Like, instead of being a procrastinator or waiting for something to happen, and it might not even be the best idea out there. You can have a competitive idea. Like there could be tons of other people doing what you're thinking of doing as well, or there's already services similar to yours. Yours is really unique, or it's catered to a different niche or whatever. That's all you need, a small enough pie. You don't have to go after the big pie. Go after a small niche, and that's all it takes, right? You carve out a little pocket for yourself that fulfills that customer base, and you take care of them, they take care of you, and that's all it really matters, right? Because you don't need to be huge, you don't need to dominate the world. Just focus on what you're really after, because everyone thinks of Amazon, Facebook, YouTube as big, huge companies that they want to really strive to become. Well, really, that's 1 in a billion. Right? 1 in 100 million that actually make it. Amazon, Tesla and all that. Well, think about the small mom and pop shops, right? And what if you are able to generate $100,000, $200,000? Is that sustainable for you and your family? I think it should be, right? Yeah. That's all it takes, right? Versus going after, I want to make 200 million a month or a day or a year or whatever. Like that's, it's like becoming an NBA superstar or a hockey or soccer superstar, right? It took you 30 years to train up to that point, right? So just like anything, start small. Everyone has their skill set. Uncover what that is and really focus on what your strengths are, and allocate your other resources with other things that don't really resonate with you, like that you're not strong at doing, so that other people can do it very well and you don't have to focus on it.
I think that's great advice. I totally agree with that. And I do believe that if you want to aim to making a 200 million a day or a month or whatever have you, you can get there. It's just you need to start somewhere and move in the direction. Don't get overwhelmed and don't get stopped by being overwhelmed. So I have to be making the similar sort of, revenue as Amazon. I completely agree with that. It could be that you want to be Amazon's competition. Why not? But that could be in 5 to 10 years back. Why not? But for the time being, don't let that stop you from taking actions initially. I think that's great advice. And something else, which I think for those who are, because this is quite the entrepreneurs, one of the other important things is don't let anything stop you. The idea that, you're a beginner or you don't have the funds or what have you. Don't let that stop you. But at the same time, don't being silly in terms of, I see many startups. There's exactly the same thing you said, John. I had a cousin who made this startup. I think he was doing app, and he spent 2 years on it and spent loads of money on it. And in that time, somebody else developed the app and got went. And so see if there's a need and then take action quickly. And if there isn't a need, then move on to the next opportunity. Because as you said, there are plenty of opportunities out there. And in this day and age, I think we really are living in the golden age. What do you say, John? there's so many opportunities to, make money and make a name and have companies in all different sort of weird niches anyway. Wouldn't you say that, John?
Yeah, and it's okay to make mistakes, because I still make mistakes all the time. And it's all about learning, evolving, and getting better and making sure that it doesn't happen again, right? And being transparent and letting people in on that whole journey. People respect you by that versus you trying to fib your way across being that expert or know-how to know everything, right? It's very difficult to know everything. For me, it's all about like just being transparent with everyone, even though they're not your customer or they are. They will appreciate that honesty way more, and they'll be way more loyal to you during the long lifetime value of that customer. So.
Agreed. So, John, where can we find you on the net? What can they give us? Do you have any special places you want us to visit, or any offers for us?
Yeah, so you can check out my website. It's localseosearch.ca. We're a local SEO agency servicing small, medium-sized businesses across not just North America, but UK and Australia as well. And we have a free website audit. So it's a 30-minute consult that you can fill out the form. There's also a podcast that we host as well. It's called Local SEO Today. And because myself and my VP of sales, which worked at Yellow Pages for over 30 plus years, we've worked with over 10,000 small, medium-sized businesses. And that's where we bring in a lot of insights from what they have shared with us. And it's better to share it with the rest of the world with some of the best practices, some of the mistakes, and things that you can really learn and hone on, so that you don't have to make the same mistakes that we kind of did over the years. So.
Brilliant, fantastic. And for those listening, those details will be on the show notes, so both on the website and on Apple Podcasts, etc. But I just wanted to sort of get John to refer them to while he's speaking to us. So, okay, John, so any parting tip for us? Do you have any tips for those listening who are thinking about or have a business at the moment?
Yeah, I would say don't give up. Being a business owner, I feel like I could have given up 1 month, 3 months, 6 months, 2 years into my business because I was still bleeding. But after year 2, I started turning things around, right? And so if you really feel comfortable and you feel like there's momentum, it doesn't have to hit a home run. Even though you have your own internal goals in terms of revenue and sales and projections, just make it realistic too, because whatever your goals are never happens, right? So you have to scale down a little bit and be realistic about it all, but never give up. If that's something you really feel like it's gonna make a difference and there is a need and demand in the marketplace, pursue it, right? Have fun with it, because it is a journey. It's a stressful journey early days, but eventually you'll get to a point where you will not regret anything that you've done in terms of that entrepreneurial journey, because the learnings that you've made, the mistakes that you made, it's worth it in the end. So go out there, make something happen, and never give up.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, John. So thank you for being a guest. Thank you for sharing your inspiration story with us. Thank you for highlighting the need to just take action and don't allow your lack of knowledge or skill in a particular area stop and hold you back, because you can always learn on the job, as you have. And I'm sure many listeners would resonate with that and actually would admire you for that, and admire your courage for taking the steps forward for that. I know a lot of people get stuck in the idea, well, I don't have the skill set for this, how can I move forward? But you've shown clearly, as long as you're willing to take the action, you will learn the skills and you'll gain the know-how on the journey. So thank you so much for sharing that. I really appreciate you for that. And for those listening, thank you so much for joining me and John on today's episode. I will be back on another Feature Friday with another amazing guest talking about their journey, about how they changed their life by changing the mindset. I hope to see you soon. Until the next time we meet, this is Gull Khan signing off. Take care and bye for now.